Open the windows. I can already smell the roach spray. Coming through that door. I invited that filthy little cockroach myself.
20 years, and I guarantee he's still the same stinking, worthless piece of garbage we used to wipe our shoes on. People like him don't change. Born trash, die trash. That's the natural order. He exists so people like us know we're on top.
Then, a sound. Low, rhythmic, growing louder. Glasses rattled, napkins flew. Every head turned. A matte black helicopter dropped onto the country club lawn. Silver letters gleamed. Axiom Digital Systems. A black man in a flawless suit stepped out, unhurried, silent. The man looked at Chad and simply smiled. That smile is where everything flips, because they invited the one man they were certain life had already crushed.
Man, they really thought they had him figured out. Let's get into it.
Let me take you back, because to understand what that helicopter means, you need to know where Terrence Harrison came from. Valdosta, Georgia. Small town. Everybody knew everybody, and everybody knew their place. Terrence grew up on the east side in a two-bedroom house with peeling paint and a leaking roof. The front porch sagged like it had given up years ago. Window screens held together with duct tape. His mother, Brenda Wilson, worked 3 jobs. Mornings, she scrubbed toilets at the Palmetto Inn Motel. Evenings, she stocked shelves at the Piggly Wiggly, pressing her fist into her spine between aisles. Weekends, she folded sheets at Magnolia Oaks Nursing Home, sheets that smelled like bleach and old age. She never complained. Not when the electricity got cut and they ate cold beans by candlelight. Not when Terrence came home with his shirt torn and his eyes red. Terrence wore clothes from the church donation bin, pants always too short, shoes with soles peeling apart. He learned to walk so the flapping wouldn't make noise in the hallway. But that boy was brilliant. Numbers made sense to him the way music makes sense to some people. Effortless, natural. His science teacher once told him he had a mind that could change the world. Terrence held that sentence like a life raft. School was his escape, but also his prison, because at Valdosta High there was a king, Chad Brennan. His father owned Brennan Motors, biggest dealership in 3 counties. Chad drove a new truck every year. Starting quarterback, homecoming king. His name was spoken in hallways like a verdict. Beside him, always, Kyle Dawson. Not smart enough to lead, mean enough to follow. Together, they made Terrence's life hell. 10th grade. Terrence won the regional science fair. The Valdosta Daily Times printed his photo. For one day, he felt like he mattered. Next Monday, the article was taped to his locker. Across his face, in thick black marker. Still broke, though. Kids pointed. Kids laughed. A teacher walked past, glanced at it, and kept moving. Did not stop. Did not say a word. Terrence peeled it off, folded it, put it in his backpack, went to class. Senior prom. Terrence saved for 5 months. Mowing lawns, washing cars, sweeping the church parking lot. He rented a navy suit, not expensive, but his, the first nice thing he had ever worn. He walked through the gym doors feeling like he belonged. Chad was waiting by the punch table, red cup in hand. "Nice suit, Terrence. You look almost human tonight." Then he poured the entire cup down the front of Terrence's jacket. Slow, deliberate. Red soaking through the fabric like a wound spreading. Silence. Then laughter. Terrence stood there, punch dripping off his fingers, staining his rented shoes. He turned and walked out. Did not run. Brenda found him on the porch an hour later, ruined suit still on, face wet but silent. She sat beside him, pulled him close, and held him. No words. Sometimes all you can do is hold on. That was the last time Terence Harrison cried in Valdosta. Now, 20 years later, Chad Brennan sits in a cluttered insurance office. Scratched desk, ceiling stain from a leak nobody fixed. His father's dealership went bankrupt 8 years ago. His marriage is hanging by a thread. 3 months behind on his truck payment. But in his head, still the king. He picks up the phone, calls Kyle. I'm putting together the reunion. Find Terence Harrison. Terence. Why? Because it'll be like old times. Everybody needs a reunion mascot, right? Kyle laughs nervously. Don't worry about it, Chad says. A guy like that? Probably bagging groceries somewhere. If he's even alive. People like him don't make it. He never searched Terence's name, never typed it into Google, never checked LinkedIn. Because in Chad Brennan's mind, a black kid who grew up poor stays poor. That is the only story he is willing to believe. He drops the invitation in the mail. Cheap cardstock, Comic Sans font, and waits. The Valdosta Country Club sat at the edge of town like a monument to people who peaked in high school. White columns, trimmed hedges, a parking lot full of trucks and mid-range sedans. The banner inside read, Welcome back, class of 2006, in gold letters. Soft jazz played from rented speakers. The smell of cheap catered barbecue hung in the air. Chad Brennan stood near the stage in a sport coat he bought on clearance 2 days ago. Tag still on the inside. He planned to return it Monday. But tonight he looked like money. Or at least he thought he did. Kyle Dawson was beside him. Always beside him. Nursing a whiskey, scanning the room. You think he's actually coming? Kyle asked. Chad grinned. Oh, he's coming. I made sure of it. Told him the whole class was asking about him, that everybody missed him. He laughed. Can you imagine? Everybody missed him. That's the funniest thing I've ever written. The room filled up. Old classmates hugged. Old girlfriends avoided each other. The DJ played hits from 2005. People danced badly and loved it. Chad checked his watch, checked the door, checked his watch again. Then he grabbed the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the class of 2006 reunion. 20 years, baby. We made it. Some of us got rich, he pointed at himself. A few people laughed politely. Some of us got fat. More laughter. And some of us, well, we invited one special guest tonight, who I think is going to remind all of us just how far we've come. Compared to him, anyway. He winked at Kyle. Kyle raised his glass. And then, the sound. It started low, a distant pulse, like a heartbeat in the sky. Thud, thud, thud. The music was still playing, but people stopped talking. Heads tilted. Somebody near the window pointed. The pulse grew louder. The chandelier above the buffet table trembled. Glasses on the bar began to vibrate, sliding slowly across the polished wood. A napkin lifted off a table and floated to the floor. Then the spotlight hit. A white beam cut through the darkening Georgia sky and swept across the rear lawn of the country club. The grass flattened in concentric circles. Trees at the edge of the property bent sideways. The thud became a roar. Every single person in that room turned toward the windows. A matte black helicopter descended through the golden dusk. Sleek, military-grade body, polished rotors catching the last light of the sun. On its side, in silver lettering that gleamed like a blade, Axiom Digital Systems. It touched down on the lawn, gentle, precise, like it had done this 1,000 times. The roar faded to a hum, then silence. The cabin door opened. Terrence Harrison stepped out. Black suit, no tie. The jacket sat on his shoulders like it was born there. Every stitch, every line, custom. His shoes caught the ground without a sound. Behind him, Naomi Collins emerged, black dress, diamond earrings catching the last flicker of helicopter light. She took his arm. They walked toward the entrance. Not fast, not slow, like they owned the ground beneath them. Inside, the room was frozen. Forks stopped halfway to mouths. Conversations died mid-sentence. The DJ's music played on to nobody. Chad stood on the stage, microphone still in his hand, mouth open, no words coming out. For 3 full seconds, the only sound was the helicopter engine winding down. Then Chad blinked, swallowed, and did what Chad Brennan always does. He refused to believe what was right in front of him. He forced a laugh. Loud, too loud. It bounced off the walls like a gunshot. Well, well, ladies and gentlemen, Terrence Harrison, give it up for the man of the hour. He clapped with one hand against the mic. The thud echoed. Now that is an entrance. Gotta hand it to you, Terrence. Whose helicopter did you borrow? You drive an Uber in the sky now? A few nervous laughs scattered through the room. Kyle jumped in immediately. He walked toward the windows, pointed at the helicopter on the lawn, and turned back to the crowd. Nah, I bet his boss let him take it for the night. Like a company car, except it flies. You do maintenance on that thing, Terrence? Polish the blades or something? More laughter. A little louder this time. People wanted to believe the joke. It was easier than the alternative. Terrence said nothing. He gave a polite nod, shook a few hands near the entrance, and moved into the room. Naomi walked beside him. Her jaw was tight, her eyes scanning every face. She leaned close to his ear. Say the word, and I'll end this before dessert. Terrence touched her hand. Gentle, a signal she knew well. Not yet. They reached their table, the worst table in the room, right next to the kitchen door, partially blocked by a support column. Every time a server came through, the door would swing and blast them with heat and noise. Chad had arranged this personally. Terrence looked at the table, looked at the kitchen door, pulled out the chair for Naomi, sat down. Derek Moore appeared within seconds, Terrence's best friend from high school. Now the head football coach at Valdosta High. Broad shoulders, warm smile, and the only person in this room besides Naomi who knew exactly who Terrence Harrison had become. Derek leaned in close, voice low. T, are you sure about this? I can shut this whole thing down in 10 seconds. One phone call. Terrence adjusted his cufflinks. Not yet. Let them finish. Finish what? Making fools of themselves? Exactly. Derek shook his head, half smiling, half furious. He squeezed Terrence's shoulder and sat at the next table, close enough to watch, close enough to move. Back on stage, Chad was rolling. The mic was his weapon, and he swung it without mercy. All right, settle down, everybody. Now, I want to take a moment to welcome all of our classmates tonight, especially the ones who traveled far to be here. He looked directly at Terrence. Terrence, buddy, seriously, tell us, how'd you get here tonight? Because I know that helicopter ain't yours. He paused for effect. What'd you do? Win a contest? Scratch off ticket? Did Make-A-Wish start doing reunions now? Laughter. Louder this time. Chad fed on it like oxygen. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. But for real, let's take a trip down memory lane. Terrence, you remember sophomore year? Science fair? Terrence's expression did not change. This kid right here, won first place at the science fair. Front page of the newspaper. Chad clapped mockingly. And you know what? I was proud of him. We all were. For like 5 minutes. Until we realized he was still wearing the same pants he wore the day before. And the day before that. Scattered laughter. Some people shifted uncomfortably. And prom. Oh man, who remembers prom? Chad's eyes lit up. Terrence showed up in a rented suit, looking like a waiter at his own funeral. And I, being the generous friend that I am, gave him a little punch to celebrate. He mimed pouring a drink. The men around Kyle howled. Red punch, navy suit, you do the math. Chad wiped a fake tear. Classic, absolute classic. Some people laughed. Others looked at the floor. A woman near the back put her hand over her mouth. Terrence sat perfectly still, hands folded on the table, face calm, unreadable, like he was watching a movie he had already seen. Naomi's knuckles were white around her water glass. Chad was not done. But seriously, jokes aside, the real question tonight is this. He pointed the microphone at Terrence like a weapon. You show up here in a helicopter with your name on it, or somebody's name on it, and you expect us to believe what exactly? He leaned into the mic. Terrence, buddy, we grew up together. I know you. I know where you come from. I know what you are. And a rented helicopter and a nice suit don't change the fact that some people are born to lead, and some people are born to sweep the floors for those who do. Dead silence. Not a single fork moved. Not a single glass clinked. Chad smiled. Slow, satisfied, venomous. But hey, welcome back. We saved you a seat by the kitchen. Figured you'd feel right at home. He dropped the mic back in the stand, walked off stage, high-fived Kyle, and Terrence Harrison, billionaire, CEO, the man whose helicopter sat 50 feet from the window, simply picked up his glass of water, took a sip, and set it back down. Not a tremor, not a flinch. Naomi leaned over. How long? Terrence looked at her, calm, patient, almost gentle. A little longer. They're not done yet. Chad stepped off that stage like he had just won a championship, chest out, shoulders back, grinning at every face he passed. Kyle met him at the bar with a fresh whiskey. That was beautiful, man, Kyle said, just like the old days. Chad took the drink, didn't sip it, gulped it. His eyes kept drifting toward the windows. The helicopter sat on the lawn like a dare. Its silver letters caught the light from inside the ballroom every few seconds. Axiom Digital Systems. It bothered him. Not because he believed it was Terrence's. No. Chad Brennan would sooner believe the earth was flat than believe a black kid from the east side of Valdosta owned a helicopter. What bothered him was that other people might believe it. That the helicopter might steal his spotlight. That Terrence, by showing up in a way Chad did not expect, had shifted the energy of the room away from him. And Chad could not have that. He pulled Kyle and 2 other former teammates, Brent Coleman and Travis Sutton, into the hallway near the restrooms. We're doing class awards, Chad said. Kyle frowned. That wasn't on the program. It is now. Chad pulled out his phone and typed something. Brent, go find the front desk. They have a printer. I need 1 certificate printed in the next 5 minutes. What's it say? Chad turned his phone around. On the screen, in bold letters, Best Actor for pretending to be somebody. Brent hesitated. Travis laughed nervously. Just do it, Chad snapped. And make it look real. Gold border, fancy font, the whole thing. While they were gone, Rebecca Brennan found her husband in the hallway. She had been sitting at their table all night, watching. Quiet. Embarrassed. She grabbed his arm and pulled him aside. Chad, stop. Stop what? This. All of this. The speech, the jokes, whatever you're planning next. Just stop. Chad yanked his arm free. Relax, Beck. It's just fun. He's used to it. Always has been. It's not fun. It's cruel. And everyone in that room can see it except you. Chad leaned close. His breath smelled like bourbon. You know what's cruel, Rebecca? Working 60 hours a week selling insurance policies to people who hate me while my old man's dealership rots in a parking lot. That's cruel. Tonight, I get to feel like myself again. So either sit down and smile or wait in the car. Rebecca stared at him, her lips pressed thin. She turned and walked back to her seat without another word. Chad straightened his coat, walked back